Welcome to the Girl Out of Order podcast. You have joined us at the tail end of the amazing Female Friendship February series. That's right, we have been digging into the complexities, the wonders, the challenges, and just the differences in female friendships for this entire month. And it has been such a blessing to my heart, and I know a blessing to our community. So if you haven't heard any of the Girl Out of Order podcast in the month of February, go back to the first episode and listen to everything about female friendships because it is such an important part of any woman's life. And I am so excited because we have had a number of amazing things happen in the month of February. First and foremost, our Girl Out of Order Facebook community is growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, in the month of February, we have doubled our membership in our community, and everyone is getting so much more active and so much more engaged. And it is blowing my mind and it is filling my heart. So we want you there. This community needs what only you can provide. So come on into the Facebook community, join this amazing group of women and a few men who are really running hard after their truest identities, their most fullest expression of who they are, and encouraging, supporting, uplifting one another. And this journey called life, and we need you there. In the month of February, Girl Out of Order held its first live Facebook session, meeting, gathering where we talked about all things female friendships, and I invited questions and we had back and forth, and the chat was lit up. It was such a cool thing to see how women are supporting one another and asking some really hard, raw questions, because I'm not going to dance around this topic. Female friendships can be very difficult. They can be some of the biggest pain points in a woman's life. And I firmly believe can be some of the greatest bonds you will ever form in this journey of life. And so I hope that you will join our Facebook community because there are so many more exciting things to come. In fact, in the month of March, I actually shifted what I was planning on doing for our March, not only podcast, but our theme for the month in our Girl Out of Order Facebook community. And it's now going to focus on the topic of worthiness. It's going to be called I Matter March because, I like alliteration, so why not? But I just had the privilege yesterday of crewing for an amazing one-day seminar held by Jamie Kern Lima. And if you are not familiar with Jamie Kern Lima, she is one of the most remarkable women I have ever had the privilege to witness and watch and learn from. And her story is not only phenomenal because she went from a Denny's waitress to, a billionaire selling her makeup company to L'Oreal. That's barely even a fraction of this woman's amazing story. And her heart's passion is to teach women to embrace their true worth, not self-confidence, but genuine, deep, meaningful self-worth. And so calling it a conference yesterday doesn't even come close. It was a collective of the top thought leaders on personal development, and they all came for free to donate their time because they love and respect Jamie Kern Lima and her mission so deeply. And her book, Worthy, just came out on Thursday, and I am so excited to announce that it topped Amazon as the best-selling book in all of Amazon. There's tens of millions of books on Amazon, and Jamie's book topped it during our conference yesterday. I'm celebrating because we should always celebrate when amazing women do amazing things to better womanhood. But I wanted you to understand that the reason I want to delve into the topic of worthiness in the month of March is because her book is cracking my heart wide open. And I am on a journey right now. I am in the midst of a massive shift and transformation in my own mindset, in my own journey for self-worth. I am moving away from self-confidence, which is external, and I'm moving towards self-worth, which is internal, unshakable, unchangeable. innate because I am uniquely me. And so in the month of March, we are going to be delving into the topic of worthiness, not just on the podcast, but in our community. We are going to have, I'm going to have 2 live sessions where we delve into the topic of worthiness, not just one. The reason I'm doing 2 is because this topic is essential. Jamie tells in her book, and I believe her, she quotes these statistics that 80% of women do not feel worthy. 75% of CEOs and high executive females don't feel worthy. That's an epidemic and it needs to be addressed. And so we are going to come together as a community and we are going to dive deep into the topic of worthiness. I'm going to be using Jamie's book to guide our conversations and to bring us together to mastermind, to learn from one another, because I don't have all the answers. Remember, girl, come along. Let's try that again. Remember, Girl Out of Order is a come along with me community. So I want to share what I'm learning. I haven't arrived. I haven't figured it all out, but I want to bring you along with my journey because I have learned a lot of things in just the last 3 to 4 years that have transformed my life. And I am still changing and I am still growing. And I'm excited to share that with you. We also need your help to grow this podcast. We have a giveaway going on in the Girl Out of Order community for an Unleash the Power Within virtual ticket. It is taking place on March 21 through 24. Sorry, it's 4-day conference held by the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Robbins. Oh, I've been to so many UPWs and I want to give this ticket to a lucky winner who does the following. If you could go on whatever platform you listen to or even watch this, I don't know if watch this, because if you're watching it on YouTube, that's your platform, and leave us a written review. This is how we grow podcasts. This is how we get our message out. This is how we bring more women into this community and create an even bigger tribe of Girls Out of Order. But we need your help. So leave us a written review. Take a screenshot of that written review. Send it to me in a DM on Facebook or Instagram, a DM picture of your review, and you will be entered to win this free virtual ticket. You can do Unleash the Power Within, also known as UPW, from the comfort of your own home. You can have as many people as you want join you. In fact, I highly recommend doing virtual events with somebody if you feel comfortable doing that, because it is just enhances the experience. But I want to give that ticket to somebody because I want to spread not only the word about UPW, but the impact of the teachings is so congruent with what we do here at Girl Out of Order. So leave us a written review and then follow us on Instagram. And my Instagram is christine.d.gale, not Girl Out of Order. So follow my personal, I guess it's kind of look, I'm in transition here. I'm trying to figure out the whole social media thing. I know that I should probably have it figured out by now, but guess what? I'm not going to shit all over myself. It is still evolving. But for right now, my page is christine.d.gale. And if you ever have any questions about links or where to find me, always look in the show notes because that's where they are, or on girloutoforder.com. Okay, that was a lot of intro, but I really feel confident that that setup is perfect for where we're going on today's podcast. I had a totally different plan for the last episode in Female Friendship February. It was a fun-loving, lighthearted, different friendship I was going to talk about and talk with my friend. And then I had a transformative experience in Las Vegas in a collective of women that opened my eyes to an even deeper level of female friendships than I have ever experienced. And so the topic we are discussing today is women healing with other women. And I don't think this was even on my radar until I went to have this experience in Vegas with a number of women from True Voice, which is run by Lauren Lahav. And if you don't know Lauren, you have to. Her links will be in the show notes because this woman is a powerhouse for good. And she is doing so much amazing work to lift up, to elevate other women, to help us find our true voices and to own our worth. And so I went for this public speaking intensive. And let me just tell you, when I went there, let me back up. Before I went, I was filled with self-doubt. I was thinking, what have I done? What have I committed to? Do I even belong there? I don't know if I trust these women. I don't know these women. I only knew Lauren because I had spent some time with her in Fiji and she was our leader there. But I didn't really know her. And I'm thinking, I know my message. I know what my message is. I just need some help to get my butt from the chair onto the stage. So they're going to teach me the mechanics of how to build a public speaking business. Okay, fine. But I didn't feel settled in my heart. And so a week before that, I actually wasn't even sure I was going to go. I hadn't booked my flights. I guess it was 2 weeks. Hadn't booked my flights, didn't have a place to stay. And I think I was looking to give myself an out. I'm wondering if my spirit knew that I was going to be walking into something totally different than what I was expecting. When you go into a collective of women, you cannot keep your guard up if you want to let your heart out. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to drop your armor. And when you do, the healing begins. So I commit to going. I'm like, I'm going, but I still had some reservations. I was going to stay in an Airbnb with women I didn't even know. I didn't even know which women were going to be there. I didn't know who was going to be participating in the intensive. I didn't know who was going to be leading other than Lauren. Yeah, it was leaning into some massive uncertainty for me, which I'm now starting to understand might be the way that God moves me towards transformation. Because in the past, I would have run screaming the other direction. But I think my soul was so weary of not breaking through to the next level, not grabbing hold of my dreams, that I was willing to lean into incredible uncertainty. Like this woman got to the Las Vegas airport, a place I think I'd been once, but never by myself. I didn't even know how I was getting to the place. I did have an address, so that was a plus. I'm like, do I take an Uber? Do I take a cab? I don't know. And I just was rolling with it because I think my spirit was ready for what was next. So I get to this Airbnb and I'm all by myself. I'm like, this is amazing. Maybe I'm staying by myself. And then in walks my new and forever friend, Sandy. Sandy is from the Chicago area, which was a super plus for me. She is bold and she is tall, and I am super not. And she is a big, beautiful presence. And the old Christine would have bristled and felt threatened and felt guarded. But for whatever reason, I was ready for what was next. And so I leaned in, and Sandy and I were able to talk, I think, for a couple hours that first night because it was just the two of us. And I was able to ask a lot of questions. And see, that's one thing I want to highlight for you. If you want to be in a healing relationship with other women, you have to be willing to inquire. You have to have a mindset of inquiry and gathering of information and stories, because that's the key to starting the healing. Is you have to be willing to engage, not just share. You have to be willing to ask and inquire. And I asked Sandy a lot of questions and she asked me questions. It was a beautiful exchange. I wasn't 100% comfortable yet, but it opened some doors. And this is where this podcast idea, this is where this topic came from, or at least let me start over. This is where this podcast idea germinated. It's where it started. I still didn't it was one of a ton of comments that she made. I didn't think about it as being the thing that I was going to talk about. I wasn't even sure I was 100% on board when she said this, but what Sandy shared with me was her transformation story in the previous 12 months in being in a collective of women called the TLC ladies, the True Legacy Collective. Boy, I hope I got that right. Or no, it's the Legacy Collective. Forgive me. It's TLC. I know it's Legacy and Collective. I just don't know what the T stands for, but I'm going to figure that out and I'll tell you why in a little bit. She shared her transformation of bringing her walls down and of the immense amount of emotional, spiritual, even physical healing that she did. And she attributed it to being in a collective of other women and healing alongside each other. And she made this very bold statement: women heal with women. I wish I could say it in her Chicago accent. She has a lot more colorfulness to her than I am right now. Women heal with women. And being the lawyer that I am, I kind of pushed back a little bit. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't really understand that. Like, do you think that it's necessary for women to heal with women? What if women have painful things with healing women? You know, it's really easy to discount a profound truth if you're looking to nitpick and find counter evidence. It only lasted for a few seconds for me, and then it got me thinking. And it opened my heart just a little bit. Just, when a door kind of creaks open just ever so slightly, it's not like wide open, but it is open and there's like light shining through, and then there's potential for a door to swing wider. That conversation with Sandy cracked my heart's door open. And it got me thinking differently about the experience I was about to have. So this whole weekend, we were in what's called an immersive event. If you've never been to an immersive event, you've probably heard me talk about Tony Robbins' immersive events, where it's like 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 4 or 5 days in a row. And this was similar and yet really different. So the similarities is that it was 12 plus hours a day for 3.5 days. And it was very intense, lots of information, not a lot of breaks. Did get to go potty. I can't believe after all these years of having kids, I still can't say bathroom. I say potty. I have no idea what that's about. One of these days, my vocabulary will grow up. Maybe not. But anyway, so we are in this environment for and it's like a crucible of connection. It's a crucible of challenge. It's a crucible of information. It's the most beautiful recipe for transformation I've ever experienced in my life. And yet this weekend was so next level for me that I didn't see it coming. So backing up, I'm there with Sandy. We wake up the next morning and apparently overnight Mim had arrived. I didn't meet Mim. She was sleeping. And then Kristen arrives and then Joanne arrives. I've got all these people that have just arrived. I don't even know if Joanne hadn't arrived yet. Joanne was actually not there yet. But then Tammy comes in and Tammy doesn't have a bed. And Tammy wasn't happy. And I wasn't sure I was going to like Miss Tammy. I don't think Miss Tammy was sure she was going to like me. It was a really strange experience. I'm not going to lie. Like all of a sudden you're thrown into this Airbnb with women you don't know, and you have a choice to make. Are you going to open your heart to them? Are you going to focus on your shared mission of why you're there? Or are you going to pick apart the things that make you different? If you do the latter, your opportunity to heal, grow, and transform with other women will be stunted, if not completely obliterated. And I was guarded, I'm not going to lie, but I was also excited because I had made a decision that I'm going to be with these women for 3.5 days. I mean, I might as well just be my authentic self and get to know them because I didn't know the treasures that were before me. So we're all sitting outside, doesn't even matter. We were all making these Valentines and we're reading and just hanging out. And it was just this weird dynamic. But at the same time, my spirit felt like something was definitely brewing and it was coming along. And then we all go over to the place where the intensive was held. And oh my gosh, this man totally irrelevant to the story, but it was one of the most beautiful homes I've ever been in my entire life, nestled in the foothills of the mountains of Vegas. And it was so beautiful. So that didn't hurt things much. But the women I was with, I could have been hanging out in a conference room in Panera, and it would have been magical. So we go in and we're sitting into this separate house room. I don't know what you even call it. And it's, I think, 8 of us participants, and there were 7 other women there that were serving us. I mean, it was amazing. Then there was Tim. Tim was doing the music. We grafted Tim in. And the amount of healing that took place on the first night surprised everyone, including Lauren, who runs the whole thing. And here's why. And this is what I want you to know. We started with introductions. And the first gal went first, and she did like a basic introduction. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do a basic introduction. And then my friend Kristen stood up. And I think she was like me. I think she was just so hungry for connection and so hungry for next level transformation. She opened up her mouth, and it was just like whoosh. She just came out, and her story just poured out of her. And it was all of this beautiful sharing that nobody saw coming. And it was like, it went on and on. And it was just glorious. And it was real, and it was raw, and it was vulnerable. And all of us, I think, were just leaning in and opening up. It just takes one. It just takes one woman to set the standard for authenticity, openness, and then healing. And Kristen set that standard. It was beautiful. And so they had a whole agenda for that day, and it did not include over 2.5 hours of introductions. But that's what happened. And I don't want to minimize it by saying introductions, because frankly, it wasn't introductions. It was an opening. So you remember how I was talking about my heart store creaking open? After that first night, my heart store swung wide open. And I knew that this was going to be a very, very different experience. If you're willing to take a chance by showing up as you truly are, with all of your bruises, with all of your hurts, with all of your needs, with all of your longings, in a collective of women, healing can take place together. And that's what I've experienced. Over the next 3 days, the amount of transformation in every single woman's life in that room, from Amy to Dina to Veronica to Kristen, Tammy, me, Joanne, Sunshine, and yes, that is her name and it fits her perfectly, Sandy. It was incredible. I think even Katie and Lauren experienced something supernatural, because supernatural healing can uniquely take place in a collective of safe women. And that's what was happening. And that's what happened. I know that every woman who experienced that weekend healed some part of their beautiful self. Now, I know that not everybody can go away to this beautiful collective and immense or immersive event. And I'm not saying that that has to be the standard. So don't misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, if you're willing to build a community of women, healing can take place in female friendships. It doesn't have to be a giant group of women. It can be that one woman that you are willing to reveal yourself to. You heard from my friend Lydia 2 episodes ago. And I will tell you that one of the most unique healing experiences I've ever had took place in that friendship. We were out walking around the lake together, and I was talking about my difficult relationship with my mom and how much my mom was pushing me and wanting to be closer to me than I felt comfortable with. And we have similar situations with our mom. And I remember at one point she said, "Do you want that close relationship?" And I just started screaming, "No, I don't want what she wants." And I just let it all out because I felt safe. And I was willing to take a chance. And that woman, that beautiful soul, Lydia, held space for me to let out this pain that I had been previously unwilling to speak because it felt so disloyal and it felt so icky, for lack of a better word. But to her, she understood. She got it. It made sense. And she leaned in. And this is what can happen uniquely in relationships with other women. I'm not saying you can't heal with men. I'm not saying we can't heal in mixed company. But what I'm saying is there is something unique about women healing with other women. I saw that this last weekend. I heard it from Sandy in her year-long, journey with the TLC ladies and how she healed because she felt seen, safe, listened to, and was able to contribute. That's a key point. Not only do you heal when you open up, but you heal with other women when you lean in and you provide support and you hold space for other women. Your healing is supercharged. Women understand the experiences of other women in ways men just can't. It's not that they don't want to, they just can't. From the silliness of, I got my period. Does anybody have any pads? To, holy crap, I'm having a hot flash. To, I caught him texting with another woman. Women understand on a level men never will. There is something unique about sharing experiences that women have with one another. It's like that moment where you just don't have to explain something because the person you're talking to will just understand. That's unique to women. There's also the emotional expression that women do that men just mostly don't do. I want you to know I'm asking for permission to generalize because clearly there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. And what is also true is I hold firm to the fact that there is something radically unique about female relationships. Women are better able to emotionally express themselves. They're more in touch with their emotions. They're more willing to lean into their emotions. And there are women who, for whom this is really a struggle. So I'm not pretending that this is some walk in the park. And if you have a vagina, then clearly you know how you feel. That's not the case in every situation. However, I do firmly believe that even the most bottled up woman is more emotionally in tune, aware, and understanding of another woman's emotion. And that propels healing in the safe environment. Women uniquely support other women because we understand what it's like to not have that support, whether it be in society, whether it be in families, whether it be among other women in the past. I don't mean that you can go willy-nilly out there and find this group of women and there's a group of women just chatting at the park and you just walk up and air your dirty laundry. That's just plain silliness and lacks wisdom. But when you are being wise and gathering women that you bring into your life and that you pour into, you're going to look for and you're going to find women that will non-judgmentally support you because they get it. They understand. They've been there. And women are more likely to offer empathy and compassion for what you're going through. I personally, in the midst of the change, right? Woo, the joys of menopause. And I'm not just talking about hot flashes, but I'm talking about life transitions. I'm talking about my parenting of littles is coming to an end. My children are leaving the nest. Everything's changing at home. My body is freaking out on me. Women can lean in and give you empathy and compassion. They're more nurturing. The empathetic understanding from another woman can provide comfort and a sense of being seen and heard. And that opens that heart's door for healing. In my life, I have had a lot of traumatic experiences that have needed a lot of healing. And this weekend, with these amazing True Voice ladies, I thought I was doing great. And there are many ways I was doing phenomenal, probably better than I gave myself credit for. And in this collective of women, they were able to see areas in which I still had my walls up, my armor on, and my sword in the air. And they didn't let me sit in that place because they see better for me. They could see that there was more inside I needed to let out to be more authentically me and to find my true voice. That's the essence of the identity work, is what is your truest voice? Because they didn't judge me into it. They didn't snark me into it. They didn't get up in my face. They showed empathy. They showed compassion. And they issued the timely challenge. And that's what broke through these walls I didn't even know I still had up. And healing took place for me, and I'm so grateful. There is strength in vulnerability. Vulnerability is a superpower. When you are in a supportive woman-only environment, showing vulnerability is often viewed as a strength, not a weakness. Have you ever had a situation in mixed company or in the company of men where you've maybe accidentally been vulnerable, or you thought it was okay to be vulnerable, and then you look on the faces and you're like, oh crap, that didn't land the way I thought it would? I have. But in groups of women, groups of safe women, I want to keep using that word because we want to be wide, but in groups of safe women, you are more likely than not to find vulnerability welcomed. Even if the women you're with aren't leading with vulnerability, it just takes a Kristen. It just takes a Kristen to stand up and be like, this is me. This is where I'm at. This is what I need. This is where I'm hurting. And then women are amazing. They just run headlong towards that. They're like, yes, 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 more, more, more. Here's my story. Oh my gosh, you did that. You were brave. Now I can be brave. I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to open up, because strength happens in vulnerability. And when Mim shared her story, and Amy shared her story, and Veronica and Dina shared their stories, and Tammy opened up her story. Oh my goodness gracious, the strength we all came away from. We actually didn't have a vulnerability hangover. We had a vulnerability rocket ship. We felt stronger. And you can too. Right now, I'm leading a mastermind called Who Am I Now? For 11 phenomenal souls. And these women have been together for just 2 hours over 2 weeks. So total of 4 hours over 2 weeks. They've had 2 sessions together. And the level of strength in their vulnerability has blown my mind. I've had a vision to lead this mastermind for, I'm embarrassed to say, almost 4 years, and I'm finally doing the damn thing. Side note here, if you have a dream that is still waking you up after 4 years, just freaking do it. What have you got to lose? I lost out on how many masterminds I could have been running for the last 4 years, but I know I'm showing up at just the right time. And I want you to chase that dream. So these 11 ladies are teaching me so much about the healing that takes place in a collective of women. It's 2 hours on a Monday night. And I'm already seeing these total strangers. Not one of these 11 women knew each other. They all just knew me. I chose to be real, to show up as the quote unquote leader, but lead with vulnerability, to lead with authenticity, and to invite the same from them. And it has taken off like wildfire, and it's beautiful. And the healing is taking place before my very eyes. It's incredible to witness the strength that women have in vulnerability. There is a collective empowerment that takes place when women show up with other women. They heal together because they feel empowered. These women that are showing up on these Monday nights together feel empowered because they're looking in the eyes of their other sisters who are going through similar things and wrestling with similar truths, and they're pushing each other and they're inspired by one another. And guess what's taking place? Healing. Healing is taking place. That's what happens because women heal uniquely with other women. And the last thing I want to address is the importance of having role models and mentors in other women. I went into this True Voice intensive, not sure what I was walking into, but feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know if they would like me. And if they liked me, I didn't know if they'd believe in me. Maybe they'd like me. They'd think I was a perfectly nice person, but I wasn't ready for what was next. What I found was exactly the opposite. I found a group of women, and I'm not just talking about the other participants. They're never getting rid of me. They're stuck with me forever. But it was the coaches and the leaders of this collective, of this intensive, that opened my eyes to a whole other level of my advancement, transformation, and impact that awaits. Because they've offered to be my role model. Well, they were my role models. They didn't offer to be, they just were. From that very first conversation with Sandy to the conversation with Sunshine, where I just asked her to remind me who I am, to the dream building with Joanne about the impact she and I can make together. All of a sudden, I had all these role models, but I also have mentors. You can be a mentor to somebody that you are in the same stage of life and development with, because we mentor one another. There are things I have going on and things I've done well and mastered that maybe Joanne, who's further along business-wise, hasn't. We learn from each other and we grow and heal when we get around women who are further along than we are, and we don't look at them as being out of our league. We look at them as being the league we need to be in. So I'm going to be joining this True Legacy collective of incredible women that before that weekend would have intimidated me out of my dreams. And now they are inspiring me to what's next. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get into this collective of women, mentors, role models, people I can be strong with and be vulnerable with and be honest and trust, ways that I can contribute and bring to the table what I have to offer, and then be open to what I can learn, because that's where the healing takes place. It's a give and take. And it all goes back, believe it or not, to worthiness. So I end where I began. We are launching into I Matter March, where we talk all about worthiness for the entire month. But I had to start this podcast with that and end it with that, because what took place for me over that weekend was I discovered my innate worthiness, that I belong. And that happened because I healed in that group of women. My eyes were opened. My heart's door swung wide open. My armor fell off. And my transformation took place. So, sisters, as we close out this beautiful month, this Female Friendship February, I hope you take away that friendships are worth the work. They are worth the effort. And it all starts with you. You have to be willing to not let your old stories and your old traumas dictate your new behaviors. If you want meaningful female relationships, go and get them. And it starts by becoming the kind of friend you want to draw to yourself. Because that's what I learned in this weekend, is when I became the kind of woman I want to be around, it attracts those kind of women. Now, right now, I have a circle of women that is so mind-blowing, and I couldn't have imagined that even a year ago. But I became the kind of woman that I want in my life. You are a beautiful, worthy, gorgeous, fulfilling friend. You must believe that, and you must be willing to be courageous. Be afraid, but do it anyway. Put yourself out there. Relationships are worth the effort. They're worth taking a chance. Don't turn away from this incredible part of a female's life because of all the reasons you might come up with. Fill in the blank. Don't do it. You're worth it. You're worthy. You matter. You are valuable. And you have something that only you can give. You are unique. You are treasured. And there is a tribe of women just waiting for you. I love you. I believe in you. And I'm so excited for what's next. Thank you so much for joining me today to wrap up our Female Friendship February. Ooh, feel like I was on fire. And that's because I believe so much in the healing that takes place with other women. And I believe so much in the importance, the value, and the worthiness of female friendships. They are unique. You are unique. You matter. I love you and I believe in you. And I cannot wait to see you next time when we embark on an entire month of worthiness. It's going to be amazing. Just like that.